The masterclass today will be focused on building scalable online edtech platforms by Mr. Balaji. Mr. Balaji S R, a Chief Technology Officer, Learning Technologies at NIIT University, has over 30 years of experience in building highly scalable learning platforms encompassing learning platform portals, LMS, and assessment systems. Balaji has phenomenal experience in leading development of technology, product lines, of defining business models, technology strategies, product roadmaps, and development plans. Mr. Balaji also has led ground-up full-featured learning management system developments to support many concurrent users, later evolving into a SaaS platform and setting up SaaS operations. Led a large-scale application development of K-12 management system project for ESC, elementary and secondary education divisions of ETS. ESC manages K-12 assessments for various states in the United States of America. Set up of an offshore product development team for Elements K SaaS-based learning management platform subsequent to acquisition of Element K by NIIT. His current role involves providing leadership to NIIT's education technology products, including overseas platforms, implementations for our customers, with special focus on digital initiatives encompassing legacy modernization, machine learning, mobile learning, analytics to drive adoption, enhance learning effectiveness, and improve retention levels. We welcome you, sir.
In the next 30-40 minutes, I'm going to run you through certain slides. These are certain, I would say, practices, certain culture that we have developed inside NIIT as part of the technology team, and how we actually have built over a period of time a scalable framework, which today, I can claim that it can support easily, any day, 10 million learners if they hit our website or any of our system. How to go about building a platform which can scale. More importantly, it can actually adopt to the business changes. Your business model will change. You will have to adopt to various environmental changes. So the system has to be ready to support you with that. And of course, it has to help you with the business growth. One thing that we do at NIIT is we go back and look at each and every component that we have built, and this is a culture that we have kind of developed among our engineers at the on the technology side. Each one has to actually contribute to one improvement each day, which will change the needle, and the needle is the business parameter that you guys are chasing. Okay? And it is a long process. The product will evolve. It's a multi-year journey. So you need to actually plan ahead so that you can create a vision for that product and then build over a period of time. So in the next few slides, I'm going to share, or in this session, I'm going to share what we do at NIIT and how we have built this platform. So to begin with, the start point is the approach that you should take. You should build the initial capabilities and over time keep building the capabilities. You can't have all of them done on day one. While you should have the roadmap, you should have a plan, but build initial capabilities, test it out, try it out. If needed, rebuild it, but build one capability at a time and then scale your platform. And more importantly, the technology is going to change, the business is going to change. Therefore, you need to be ready for both sides, both the technology and the business. Therefore, just build one capability at a time. So typically, to start with, so at NIIT, when we started our journey, we kind of created the big picture. The big picture here is you look at technology not only as something that is going to touch your customers. You need to look at technology that touches everyone who is going to engage with the business. It is your employees, it's your customers, it's your partners, everyone. So you need to create a big picture. You can't ignore a particular stakeholder. Just create a big picture, involve all who needs to be part of the ecosystem, and also identify for each of those individuals
what are the differentiator you as a business going to create. While you focus on customers, but every other stakeholders who are part of your ecosystem, you need to say, if I'm building a platform, what is the differentiator I will bring in for this stakeholder as compared to others in the market. Okay. Then, and this is something which we have been doing it in the past, but recently we have kind of formalized this process, which we call as the capability framework. We say do a capability framework. You create a framework or a blueprint for your edtech platform. You may not be working on a feature today, but you may need it later, but you still have to have it in your blueprint. So that's what we call as the capability framework. You don't worry about how you will build it, when you will build it, who will build it, you just create that framework first. So you have a full vision of what the platform is going to look like. And once you've done that, then you identify which ones I'm going to be working on. And definitely, I mean, while you would have chalked out all the entire blueprint, there will be certain areas which will be your own unique proposition, your own innovation in it. So you need to focus on those areas. That's where you would want to invest your funds wisely. That's where you would want to do prototyping. And you basically prioritize based on that framework. I'll show you how typically it's done. So in order to do that big picture, like I said, while your customer experience is the key, that is what you always think of when you are looking at a platform, what I want to give it to the customer. But do not ignore the other parts, the other systems that may be involved. While you may be building an edtech platform, but an internal operation system is also as critical. It has to be a part of your learning or edtech ecosystem. And then data analytics. Data is cheap, data storage is cheap, therefore don't worry about what data to store, what not to store. Just whatever you can think of, keep storing. It may not be useful today, it may be useful later. When you look at, I mean, we ourselves, when we started capturing data, we were not sure what this data is going to do for us. But 3 years down the line, when we look at our data from various systems that we have, they're generating lots of useful insights that we never thought of. Okay? Don't ignore your external ecosystem. You may be working with your partners. You may be working with other external companies. Just to give you an example, I mean, today, while we call it an edtech platform, but our edtech platform is actually linked to certain external systems. Like we have a travel desk. Our ecosystem is integrated with the travel desk. I mean, we didn't think about it. You will, when you're starting the business, you wouldn't know why you would need a ecosystem to be integrated with an edtech platform, but it makes sense. Today, our trainers have an app, a trainer who is on the field and who have to visit the customer sites. The trainer not only get the training schedule, they also get to know where is their hotel, where are they going to stay, what is the next flight. They also get all of that on their mobile phones. So that's what has been enabled through the external ecosystem. So please don't ignore looking at your external ecosystem. And of course, security and controls are important given so much data that's being captured. Data privacy is all important. And you look at it initially, cater for it, factor for it initially, because if you are going to grow and you're going outside boundaries and other geographies, this would be very, very useful for you. This is, I mean, while you can't read this diagram, but I have a separate spreadsheet on this I can share with you offline. But this is typically how, this is our NIIT's, that big picture that I spoke about. This has got some 74 capabilities which we have built over time. Some of these boxes we have still not touched, but it is there as part of our big picture. We will, at some point in time, we will be investing on those. This is something which we look at every day. We look at what capabilities we need to bring in, what capabilities we need to change. I mean, year on year we look at it, we say, okay, this box needs an upgrade this year. So we retire that, we rebuild it because technology has changed, business models have changed. So this is what we say, do the big picture, create a complete framework. And here in this case, we have kind of classified each box is a functionality feature that we build. It is across some 5 dimensions. It cuts across all those stakeholders that I spoke about, end to end. Customer, of course, is the one, but it has all the other stakeholders, our employers, our trainers, our employees, our trainers, our partners, everyone. and how do you, once you have the big picture, how do you go about making it a reality? You start with defining a strong architecture. A strong architecture is the boxes that I showed, we actually did our architecture some 5-6 years ago. We had a monolith application. That's how earlier the systems were built. But later now, with the modern technologies, we have been able to, what we call as, we created these Lego blocks. So each box is an independent unit. Each box can function independently. Depending on our customer's requirement, we just assemble the box and create a new solution. Each day we are creating a new solution based on those boxes. So when you're looking at building capability, don't try to build one system having all. Build independent components, assemble them, aggregate them. Now technology supports data aggregation, technology supports data exchange. There are lots of ways you can integrate it. So you have to build loosely coupled interoperable platform. The other advantage you get is, let's say a technology changes, or suddenly there is one component which only needs to scale exponentially. You just can focus on that component, just replace it, bring a new component. Okay? So that's how you look at scaling your architecture. And like I said, it should be like a Lego block. And what we typically do is every day we go back, we look at what we need to change, what we need to focus on, what we need to retire, and we are we're building the boxes every day, and we keep adding the boxes also every not every day, but at least once in a month. Go back and look at it. You will be building on cloud because that's the way to go, but choose your cloud partner wisely. Don't get stuck to one cloud partner. Build across the various providers you have. And the reason I'm saying so is, one, they can also have outages. Okay, so your business shouldn't suffer. So you always have to have a backup plan. While you may not have 100% availability, but if you have systems that are independent of cloud providers, you can always quickly move to another provider. That's one. Two, there are capabilities that one provider provides which is better than the other provider. So for example, we built our AI engine, we used Amazon, then we later decided to move to Google Cloud, and now today we are actually figuring out that IBM Watson does much better job. So therefore, that possibilities exist if you choose a partner and also do not tie closely with that partner. Loosely coupled is the keyword here. Okay, and always go for a hybrid approach. You will always have an option to switch. For example, when we were doing our live sessions, we had Zoom, Teams, GoToMeeting, WebEx. So we integrated with all of them. We didn't integrate all of them on day one. We gradually added those capabilities, but that always gives us an ability. If Zoom is not available, you can switch your sessions on Teams.
I have a question. With larger number of new technologies, it means that we have to hire different set of people, which increases the technical debt for a team. How do we go about it?
With the full stack developer and development coming in, you will have actually one developer who can do all. So they're not very different, each of them. They provide the same stuff, but you pick an engineer who is able to learn and able to adopt new technology. So what is here today may not be relevant tomorrow. So anyway, you need to build a team which can actually bring in new technology.
Or you could also partner with it.
Yes.
Does it still apply to startups who are sensitive to price and limited to the credit that they are getting? If so,
it does apply. So, I know.
So the question is for the startup who have just raised fund or maybe just waiting for the seed round, right? For them to get to this and apply all these things, right? Does it still apply? Because they're very sensitive to price. They want to get the MVP quickly rolled out. They can have Lego services because microservices is not a thing for them.
It does apply in the long run. But you have to, one, create that big picture for you. Whether you do it today, because you have to invest your funds wisely. Where you want to invest also have to be carefully thought of. But create that big picture so that you don't lose focus on that. Because if you later have to adopt some of these ideas that I'm saying, and if you have not factored in initially in your architecture, it is going to be one, cost prohibitive, or even it might actually put a blocker in your business plans.
Yes, I think I can add a little. See, one should always plan for what if I succeed. See, rather than just planning for, looking at what failures. So one should, in a way, plan for that also. So if you succeed and you don't have this, then what happens? Big picture, a little bit of investment may be required. Depends on individual, but really need to plan for success also.
Today we have a hybrid model where we work with Azure, we work with AWS, we work with Watson, everybody, but we didn't start with all of them on day one. We gradually moved to that level. This is one mantra we actually tell each and every engineer in our team. While their laptops are more powerful than the servers on which our code run, by the way. Okay, we pick the smallest unit. If you have used AWS, they have something called the micro instance. Some of our actually code runs on that micro instance, which which you wouldn't imagine that it can support such a large scale users that I'm talking about. But that's what we do. You build for the smallest unit, make sure that the system performs on that smallest unit very well. You always can actually scale horizontally to support larger audience. If you did, while you can adopt the vertical scaling also, that's what we used to do 10 years ago, but vertical scaling will take you to a certain level, but after that it will stop. So therefore, plan for horizontal scaling. Build something which can run on the smallest unit, and then you can add more units horizontally as against actually trying to put it on a powerful system.
This is another, is it also more cost effective, the horizontal?
It is, because vertical scaling at some point in time, after reaching CPUs will be more costlier. If I want to add more CPUs vertically, it will be more costlier than, but more importantly, there will be restrictions. The number of CPUs you can put in a hardware is limited. So
my question is, if you go back to the horizontal and vertical, is this, doesn't any cloud provider already help me with that? Because cloud is effectively horizontal scaling, right?
Yes.
Solve at a particular scale, and so if my backend solves it, is this more of a front end view that you're giving us, that once we build front end capabilities, we look at building one capability over the other? Because I think from a back end, if all of us, and I think all of us are on different clouds, isn't this already solved for?
it is solved for, but you need to leverage that capability that the cloud providers provide. If you do not architect your platform, you will not be able to exploit that feature that they give. For example, AWS gives elastic scaling.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you have to use that, you have to architect for it.
Okay.
This is another thing. Build something, have an MVP, try it out. Whether succeeds or whether it does not succeed, fail fast. Don't get stuck to one thought process or one way of doing things. Try the same thing differently. So we iteratively actually we have built many versions. Sometimes even change the technology, but we invest little, try it out. If it works, then we scale it, and sometimes we rebuild it. So I had this mental block many years ago when we were doing the legacy systems. We get so passionate about something we built, be it technology, be it code. When I used to code, there was no code which will actually convert numbers to text. So I wrote a code and I was so proud about it, and then it was so difficult for me to actually change that code. Okay, well, there are now libraries which can do it. Why do you need to write a code? So therefore, it's important that you actually bring in a mindset where you don't get stuck. That's a good idea, you're passionate about it, but as far as technology is concerned, you must be completely disconnected from the technology. You should be ready to build it. So therefore, fail fast and try again. Don't worry about it. Even if you are not sure whether it will be successful or not, try it out and quickly get out of it. Okay. The other is retire fast. Again, this is an experience coming from our own building. We had lots of legacy. We are over a period of time removing. So that building blocks that I showed, that helps you in quickly looking at things. I mean, if you think that the technology is old, you cannot maintain the technology, quickly retire and bring in a new technology. So if you apply that building blocks concept, you would be able to do both these stuff. And more importantly, technologies are changing. Every day a new technology comes. So you should be ready to adopt new technology. So therefore, it's important that you build an architecture where you can retire fast. And in those building blocks that I showed, that's a vision. That's the full thing that you would want to build. But don't try to build that something available out of the box. If you're planning to build an LMS, don't build it. Pick one that's available. But what you should focus on is what is the differentiation for you. What is the innovation and creative that you want to bring in? Focus on that. So it will be, picking an existing LMS will give you the jump start, and you can focus on the innovation and differentiator. Don't spend your money, energy, effort in actually reinventing something which is already there. And many times you might actually want to just use the off the shelf to try it out. If it works, then you spend and create your own version. That's also a possibility. All of that you do, put metrics. Metrics not in terms of technology performance. Can it scale up to 1 million users or not? It's more on can it change my business parameter by X percentage or X number. So all that you do in our team, we actually carefully look at, we debate, why are we doing this? By doing this, what will it change? Is it going to improve, get me more revenue, or is it going to improve dropout rates, or is it going to give us more conversion? So every line of code that we change, not literally every line, but every feature that we put it, we actually associate it with a business metric. And keep going back to that diagram, a similar diagram, not the same diagram. You will create your own roadmap. Keep going back, redefine, look at what capabilities now exist, things would have changed, go back and revisit, prioritize, and redo things. So it's a cyclic process. Keep doing that again and again. And also build more boxes. You have to get more ideas and keep expanding. I'm going to share some of the use cases that we have done, and these are ideas that have come from our engineers, because we have this mantra, every day we have to improve something. And this is what made, or these are just a few examples, this is what made our platform scalable to that level that we are supporting today. There are sometimes you will get some very, very small idea, but that can have a big impact on the way you design your system. And one of, I'll come back to this later, one of the example is this. We exploited and in the edtech space, even today, many things in the education is still organized. So there is always a certainty to it. You can plan ahead. Okay. For example, this session has to happen at 10 and 50 participants are coming. Can be, it's planned, right? So therefore, if this were to happen on a digital platform, I know at 9 o'clock, 50 people are going to log in. So I can actually plan ahead for an event like this. There are uncertainty, but I would still say in that edtech framework that I have, 70% is predictable. Therefore, we can plan ahead. There will be uncertainty, but that is about 30%. So what we have done, this is a very smart, interesting thing one of our engineers did. This is the login. Now, typically login is the process that is most stressed at load. The servers will stop. There will be loaders going on for a long time. So what we do is, when somebody puts in an email ID, there is a think and a processing time. Between the time they put the email ID and the next step is they have to enter their password. There is a few seconds or milliseconds gap. What we do is, the moment somebody puts an email ID, we know this person 9 out of 10 times will put the right password. Therefore, it's going to come in, we have already pulled the data and cached it in the memory. So when the person goes to the next screen, the dashboard or the landing page is already loaded. Likewise, 50 people are going to attend this session. They have to come into a page. We preload what we need to show them upfront so that your servers are not put to stress. You don't have to scale a lot. So these are some of these ideas. These are the things that we do. And in edtech, incidentally, you can actually exploit the processing time very, very, very effectively. This is our system. This is our assessment system. Assessments are always planned. Exams will happen, 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people will come in. So what we do, we pre-generate the question paper for them. So though it is random, though it is dynamic, though it is unique, but before 9 a.m., all the papers are ready. Learners doesn't need to know. And when they come in, it's all preloaded. And utilizing think time. Always when somebody is attempting a question, they are reading the question, they are thinking, they are processing, they are going to respond. It's going to take some time, a minute or two. We preload the next questions that need to come in. So that, see, I mean, examination itself is a stressful process. The student is stressed because of the exam. On top of it, if you have a non-performing system, it's add to that. So therefore, we have thought of these kinds of behaviors very carefully and done some stuff. And therefore, the system actually scales up to a large number of tests that we can conduct at any point in time. And this requires a lot of concurrency. This is another interesting thing. Now, you, like I said, processing time, think time, there will, in the education, there will always be an idle time. You have course content. This is an example of a PDF. Our students are given PDF to read. They can mark notes on it. Okay. Now, whenever they mark notes, we have a system which auto saves those notes. Now, many times individuals, most of them will open the PDF and then they will either they would be attending a lecture or they would be on Zoom or some other focusing on something else or leave the page idle. Now, typically what will happen, your auto save is running every 2 minutes or 3 minutes and saving the data unnecessarily. So one of our engineers came with a very, very interesting idea. He said he will identify what changes you have done, only push the change that has gone. So your servers are less loaded. More importantly, the bandwidth for the end learner is also saved. That's important. So from a customer's perspective, it's not just time. You have to take care of the bandwidth of the user. So think smartly. I mean, these kinds of things, when you're actually doing a development, you don't think of it, but these are stuff that can really, really help you scaling the application a lot. I mean, just imagine 1,000 students there and the server, I mean, assume nobody is doing anything, but still your servers are loaded. Why waste your money on that? Yeah. Coming back to this is another stuff we have at NIIT in our team. 1 second is slow. We measure everything in milliseconds. So if somebody says, I built a page which is loading in 1 second, for us it's slow. The smallest unit that I spoke about, if you have to support that unit, you have to start measuring and start thinking that your load time should be in milliseconds, not in second. And with more advancement and I mean more and more websites are going to become lighter. So you need to have the response time targets are going to be even more stricter. So I spoke to you about this. So exploit the think time. So scheduled events, class starting at 9 a.m., exam scheduled, assignment submission date. Last date of assignment submission in the education space, you will see traffic coming in, right? Because so what we do, I know tomorrow is the last date. I know people are going to come in. We preload some of the stuff, cache it. Don't drive it through database. Course starts today. First day. I mean, you will have lots of traffic. So can you do something, pre-cache something? And in education, the content doesn't change every day, right? So content is built, mostly it is read process. So you can cache a lot of stuff. You can actually bring lot on the browser side as well. Okay. With the data, you can actually look at behavior patterns. Typically, when the new course launch happens, you will see traffic. Something new product you have launched, you will see traffic. So you can actually do smartly a few things. Create a segregated environment for your new program and pre-cache them so that, I mean, you can manage lots of load. Week before the exam, I mean, this is something which we realized through the data, but it's logical also. Just before the exam, recorded video lectures are the most used stuff. So what we do, we know that, okay, tomorrow or this upcoming week there is this exam. We know these 100 students possibly will be using this video. We kind of preload those videos for them upfront, so that there is lesser load on the server when they come in. Okay. Yeah, the others I've already shared. So that's what it's all about, and this is how we do. And I mean, I can talk for long, but given the time we had, I've kind of brought in some of the stuff that we have done and our own experiences, sharing insights with you so that you can plan your architectures better. And like I said, this is something which we look at every day. When I go to sleep, first thing, the last thing I do is, what is that one thing we did today great in our system? And we have an everyday release. Thank you.
Just one quick question. So you mentioned your assessment system that you have. Is it adaptive by nature? So because that's something that we've been wanting to do, but it's not quite been successful. If they answer harder questions, the test gets harder and harder, and then dips as.
Yeah, it is adaptive, but we have only a few limited rules that we have built. So typically in adaptive, what you would do is, based on the response, you load the next one. You would always have a few combination of responses. If it's a multiple choice, you can only have 4 choices, right? And the outcome is either it's correct or incorrect. So the next possible question could be among the 5 or 10 in the pool. You could load all the 5 and 10 from the pool ahead, just so that the learner experience is better. I mean, you can still work out a few techniques. You don't have to actually go and compute the next question at real time. You don't have to do that.
Okay, because we tried to do that and it didn't work very well.
Balaji, to be fair, I mean, if we were sitting in such a crowd with this monumental thing you talked about, we'd wonder, yeah, should we get into this business or not? Question, and not a long answer, but maybe useful to, not to describe where we started, but as you said, version, what evolved. And therefore, I think if we were to be starting today, posing the question, would I use some ready-made thing today and think about my architecture on the cheap?
Yeah.
Because even to figure out architecture, I have to attend some master's program somewhere, right? And maybe, Sapnesh, a question for you as CEO, and you've seen the journey right through. So Balaji's been around how many years now? Tell me. Which year?
I've been there from the NIIT days. So.
Which year?
NIIT 1997. Yeah.
With a little break in between to some fancy company in Singapore, I remember.
Nicholas George. Nicholas George.
With Nikki.
Nicholas George.
Yes.
Not in Singapore.
No, we were in Singapore or no?
That's when we commercialized our LMS for the first time. We were deploying it.
That was with us.
Yes.
There's some fancy company in
No
fancy.
analytics. What was it?
Green Clouds
Green
in.
Cloud, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe your response, because I think a more easy to grasp person for someone in the early phase. All of them are doing something. I'm sure the question will come from there. But just to put it into context.
Yeah, here's what I would say. If you go back to that block slide, now what Balaji gave you was an easy way out, that you only need to focus on a few blocks that matter to you. But you will not be able to do that, because you need 80% of this to get a student from the door to the exit. Just like if you have to start a university, you have to have a registrations desk, an admissions desk, and you have to have a placement desk, and you have to have everything in the middle. Even if you didn't have it on day one, by the time your batch graduates, you'll have to have everyone, right? And all of you guys are in a business where you are graduating students within 3 to 4 months. So, what Balaji actually said is actually a lie, because you cannot have only a few blocks. Now, the hard thing for us was that all LMSs that were available or all platforms that were available were for corporate training. That's what was available to us. So we had to put real money and a lot of time. I mean, this has been in the making for more than 25 years to build this out. I think the opportunity that you guys have is to partner. Like I was saying, look at Balaji in his eyes and say if you want to partner with him, because we now have a platform that has everything that an edtech will need to get off the ground. It is not the platform that you will want to differentiate your product, but it is a platform that gets you off the ground. So if you want to, you have two choices. You can build the university before the first student comes in, or you can put your board outside his university. And that's a choice that you'll make. But we didn't have that choice. So we had to put a lot of money to build this out. But now that we have put in the money, I don't know if you noticed some of the logos that were there when he was going through different tricks that they've tried. Now you can put anyone's logo and have, for example, we have one business which we started, I want to say about 4 years ago, three and a half years ago. That business started with a run rate of $200,000 a day. And because we had the platform, we were able to get it started and ramp it up. If we did, I mean, we just had to put the logo. Of course, they did many things in the background to get it off the ground, but we were able to do that. And so that's an important part that we should consider.
This is the one you're talking.
Yeah, this is the one.
I think there is one more angle. Over a period of time, through partnerships, acquisitions, we inherited platforms.
Yes.
Right. Similarly, I think we did some co-creation of platforms along with customers.
That's correct.
And if you keep that block diagram, which this block diagram, and say, okay, now I have this capability from 6 places because I had this other part of one acquisition, I had this another part. If interoperability is looked after, which is all that you look after, then you can just replace the boxes or say I have 3 choices for this box. This works best in these circumstances, this works best in that.
So for example, no platform comes with a CRM, and to build one doesn't make sense. But to connect your platform deeply with a CRM makes all the sense, right? It makes all the sense. But a lot of people get into the trap of building their own CRM onto their platform, which makes no sense at all. So, I mean, you will have limited amount of money. Use it for only the things that enable you to differentiate. Because, investing in buildings and infrastructure, it's a choice.
So may I ask a question here? So we are also working on a similar platform, and over the period of last 2-3 years, we have gone out and created something. I would not say as mature as what you have created because we have put in a lot of time. We are relatively very new. But from a university standpoint, there are 3 main angles that, like you rightly said, right from admission till placement, and this entire journey has to be stitched onto a platform. And we are trying to create that there is a seamless experience wherein a student, once he just puts in a lead and once he is admitted, the same platform converts to a learning platform and then the placement, and then the entire ecosystem comes in place, mentors, corporate coaches, all those kind of things. So, number one, is NIIT giving this platform to third-party companies as well? If in case from module perspective, is there a different business model?
We will get friends, make friends with Bala.
then it is available. Because we would like to definitely learn from what we have created, and we cannot see this right now, but sir, we will be very happy if you can share this with us. Because these are the small modules, and every day, like you said, it's a new learning, and every day we also get to know that this is a new small module that is required in the business. So of course these things will help us.
This is just a template, but you need to create something similar for you. But many things you can inherit from here, but you need to put your own thinking and put the blocks that are relevant for you.
We are creating that, but this will help us, sir.
The next question is on concepts of the
Yeah, so what I would say is that yes, NIIT would look at partnerships such that you are able to use the capabilities that we have built to the fullest. And then at a commercial arrangement, which actually creates a win-win. It enables you to extend your runway, and it enables us to make the platform richer, because we build a few things that will be unique for you, which will create uniqueness for yourself, and it will create some new capabilities for us. So we would create a commercial arrangement, which is a win-win arrangement. It does not drain your capital, enables you to use the capability that we have built and have it available at scale when you need scale.
So you can think of it as layering, right? So you get the core cloud ecosystem layer from any of the cloud providers.
Just telling you from past experience.
And then the next layer is the core platform infrastructure layer. That's what Stephanie is talking about. And then you can just focus on
the business and the other aspects of it.
Differentiate. What enables you to differentiate? See, you think about a platform, just like I said, you think of a university. Every university has an admissions desk, every university has a placement desk, every university has academics. How does the university differentiate? It's not because you offer better food, might be one of the things. Might not be because you offer better clubs, but it might be one of the things. You have to figure out what might be things that are unique to you and what are the things that are common. You might realize that 80% or 90% is common. So then, if you can focus only on the 15% that's unique to you and spend money on that, then you can save the money that you were going to spend on the common. So let's say if it was going to cost $1 million to build a platform, and out of that $1 million, if 850,000 was going to build something that was common, it doesn't allow you to do it. Then by the time you are done spending 850, you've not differentiated. So what I would say is, a partnership with Bala will enable you to start spending only for differentiation. It gets you off the block faster. It enables you to spend only on differentiation rather than becoming a me too.
We have choice of getting back to that at a later date once you achieve scale anyway. If you want to build further differentiation at the lower level, that's your choice.
No, that's true. Actually, there are very less people like sir in the industry. If I talk only from a university standpoint, in university it is not just learning or admissions and other stuff, but there are a lot of back-end processes that are there.
There are 74 blocks.
Yes. Say for example, for every course that we start, there is a lot of documentation that goes in. There are PPR documents. Then whatever teacher is teaching, you have to keep a record. Now ERP system is not talking to the CRM system. CRM system is not talking to that system. And eventually when NAC comes in, that is the time we have to gather all those data, and this is something that we are going out and creating. Wherein right from CRM to ERP to different set of systems, and giving a university VC or a owner that capability that they know how many FDBs have been done, what is the kind of faculty that is there. There's a back-end system associated to it.
And maybe they need a specific kind of arrangement, specific templates every time. For
how the reporting has to be done.
I think that all of that gets you to be a meeting. All of that is needed to be able to compete, but not win.
So if we have to get a particular block only as an API, is it also possible?
That's why I say make this guy your friend. Make this guy your friend.
So, Balaji,
we haven't done that for a living. I just want to make it clear.
That's a benefit of coming here.
But that is a requirement for us.
No, I'm saying
I remember we did, which was Singapore, ITE or who? Is that?
We started with Nanyang
Nanyang Polytechnic.
then we moved to IT.
NUS,
Not any.
Not
Nanyang
Nanyang Polytechnic.
That was some 20,000 students. I remember some basic.
Yes, 20,000 students.
That was the first time we were testing something at that scale.
Yes.
And this recent one we talked about the client, corporate client, not corporate client, well, corporate client, country client, the regulator in Canada for training of and certification of real estate brokers. You can't do the practice without having certification. So it was, they were had a certain method, they want to make it online. And fortunately, it happened, COVID happened, we had to organize COVID to make sure that people had no other choice. The scale, that number that we talked about was because of that. So circumstances have forced us to do things. And I think Phyllis was another example.
MetLife, who has, believe it or not, they have 450,000 insurance agents globally. And what some of you guys have been doing is applicable to all of those insurance agents, not just from a platform perspective, but from a learning perspective. Nobody wakes up in the morning wanting to sell insurance.
I just wanted to highlight even in a different world in my previous life.
And we haven't introduced will you just spread a bit?
I used to run Manipal Global Education, and many years back we actually built, I was in technology testing in Manipal Global, and as a part of it we actually built table experience platform. It's similar to what he's talking about. Not at this level of maturity, but it's an attempt which was done in a slightly different way. Our focus was not on the transaction but on the learning system, which we actually built, and then tried to partner with SAP to create a version of R3 which could take care of the underlying transactional stuff and then put the both together. So that was the product for execution. And it's a completely non-trivial problem. We had the resources, we're not a small entity, we had the resources, and 40 people, we gave them 17 months, did not ask a single question. So 17 months, they spent a lot of money, and they actually, wonderfully, they actually made it happen. You can't do all that. A startup cannot even think of doing it. That's why I keep saying, this is a seriously non-trivial issue. I would urge you to think about it, having traversed that journey, spent hours and then days, weeks, months on end on this. This is my favorite project. So,
and while one of the things Bala had written was security, one hole in your system can bring down your company. One hole.
And
one data leak.
And in education, scale is spiky. The load and skill is very spiky. But we are all planned for gentle amplitudes in our general thinking.
But these are both your things of gentle.
The other extreme of it is the e-commerce where everything is spiky on a daily basis. This is very different. Yeah. That's the point that he was trying to make, and I'm hoping that people caught up. The nature of the spiking that happens in this is very different in education, completely different. It's not e-commerce type of spiking. It's not the general, and understanding that and providing for it in what you do is actually going to be the difference between whether you're going to be successful or not. Because you may have a great idea, you may have a great solution, an elegant solution which can approach it, which can actually produce value. But if it doesn't sustain when rubber meets the road, and that's the point that Balaji was trying to highlight, you have a problem. So take care of it right in there. Ab initio, take care of it, then you have a much better chances.
Currently, I'm on the board of NIIT. That's right. Last time we had a couple of board members, this time we got in. So that and perspective.
There is one more dynamic which we should say. Earlier, the regulatory system was static. So you had all the time to build, and then everything will be applicable 1 year from now, 2 years from now, and stuff. Now, overnight things change. You will always be, and this is giving you the experience at NU, we were always chasing our tail.
Yes, we do have a capability to do online proctoring, but we also have built capability to integrate with other proctoring service providers. Okay, so there are other companies that are providing. So around our assessment system, we have been able to hook our own proctoring system or any other proctoring system. Okay, that's one. The other is when you are defining proctoring, it's very important to define what are the goals that proctoring will achieve, because you cannot stop cheating. Okay, so therefore what you want to do is clearly to be defined, and based on that you pick and choose and what proctoring you want to do. And more importantly, you have to actually figure out the overall assessment process, not just proctoring as a solution. The overall assessment process has to be embedded in the proctoring solution to actually build a high integrity assessment system.